have to do it for real. Okay, so here we go. Practice test 3. 16 times y equals 16 times 1.08 to the x. Is it growth or decay? Growth. This is the number that we look at. That number is bigger than 1, so it's growth. How much bigger than 1? 8%, 0.08. So this is 8% growth. That's the rate of growth. What is the initial value? 16. This number is always the initial value. Always, always, always. All right, number 2. Write the equation of the exponential function containing these 2 points. So when we start, we have to remember that an exponential function looks like this. I'm not going to tell you that. You need to know that's what an exponential looks like. Also, the number hooked to the 0 is always A. So right off the bat, without doing anything, you have half credit for the problem. But now we have to do some work. Now we have to find B. Okay? All right, how do we do that? Plug in the other ordered pair. So plug it in for my x and my y. So 3/2 equals 2/3 b to the second. Now we need to get rid of this number right here. So I'm going to either divide by 2/3 or multiply by 3/2. Because when I multiply by 3/2, that's gone. And over here I have 9/4. 3 times 3, 2 times 2. So now I'll square root. And b equals 3/2. So my answer is y equals 2/3. That was the original number. And 3/2 to the x. Never multiply those. They're two, A and B are two separate things. All right, now we got a whole bunch of problems that we're going to do without our calculator. So 16 to the negative 3/4. First thing you notice is a negative, which means 1 over, flip it, so it's going to be 1/16, 1 over 16, and then the exponent becomes positive. Now the second thing you notice is you have a fraction exponent, which means you have a radical. So it's 1 over a radical. Under the radical is 16. The root is 4, and the power is 3. So now you got to figure out what is the 4th root of 16. 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. So 1 over 2 cubed, so the answer is 1/8. Okay, we have another negative exponent. So this one's a little bit easier. 4 to the negative 3rd would be 1 over 4 cubed. And 4 cubed means 4 times 4 times 4. which if you know that, great. If you don't know it, you'll figure it out. 4 times 4 times 4 would be 64. So 1 over 64. Another negative exponent. What does a negative exponent do? Flips you. So this becomes 16 ninths to the first, which is just 16 ninths, right? D, so easy, I'm not even going to write it down. 1/3. Because when you have an ln and an e next to each other, touching each other, they cancel. So the answer is just 1/3. E, log base 3 of 27. Now we want to know what that equals. So if it doesn't have an equals x on it, if it helps you, go ahead and stick an equals x on it. Because as soon as you do that, do you see a loop-de-loop?
Yeah.
So 3 to a power is 27. What power is 3 to get 27? 3. 3 to the third. Okay, F. How do you want to start? You've got some choices here. What do you want to do first? So take everything to the 1/2? All right, now that means 4 to the 1/2. Multiply the exponents now. Remember, when you have a double exponent, you multiply. So what's 2 times 1/2? 1. 6. And negative 5/2. 9 to the 1/2. 4 times 1/2. And negative 11/2. Now, you've got to remember what this means. What does 4 to the 1/2 mean? It means the square root of 4. This means the square root of 4. It's a fractional exponent. So that's 2. And what's 9 to the 1/2 mean? 3. Square root of 9. All right, now what about these guys? Can I do anything with that? I have an x over an x squared.
Subtract.
There are more x's on the bottom. So when I cancel, I'm going to have 1 left on the bottom. I have 1 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Now these are problematic though because they're negative. So I'm going to have to bring that one down and bring that one up. Right? Negative exponents move. So now I have 11/2 on the top, so that's like 5.5. And I have 2.5 on the bottom, 5/2. So I have 5.5 y's on the top and 2.5 y's on the bottom. So what's going to happen?
3 on the top.
3 on the top left over. I have 3 extra ones on the top. Now, this is a good example of a time when it would have been much easier to have simplified this first and then done the 1/2. Ultimately, we got the answer, but we had to work with fractions. Wouldn't have had to do that if you would have simplified first. But that's okay, we got our answer. Not G, too easy to write down. What's the answer to G? 19. When those two numbers, look where the 7's are, when those two numbers are the same, the answer is 19. All right, the log of 100. this looks like a loop-de-loo to me, except what? The base is missing, so the base is 10. Remember, LOG has a base of 10. Pharaoh? Is there an emergency? Okay, you need to go to the office? Okay, well you don't get to use your phone in math class, Pharaoh. That is not appropriate, especially when we're trying to review for a test. Okay? So now I'll loop-de-loop. So 10 to the x equals 100. Right? So what 10 to what power is 100? 2. So 10 to the second is 100. I is another negative exponent. So 2/5 to the negative second. So first of all, it flips it because it's negative. So it's going to be 5/2 squared. And we'll square everything, so we get 25 over 4. And J is another easy one. We hope there's lots of these on the test. What's the answer to J? 1/3. 1/3. Because whenever you have an E and an LN touching each other, they cancel. Okay, more no calculator. Here we go. What do you think about this? Yes! Loop-de-loo. I don't know who said that, but you're right. We're going to loop-de-loo this. So 2 to the third equals 2x minus 1. We're not scared of that equation. It's super simple. 2 to the third is 8. Right? 2 times 2 times 2. So we'll add 1 and divide. So we get 9/2. All right, so B looks a little bit different, but stop and think for a moment. What do I need to do first? Divide. You cannot have this number out in front. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide by it. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So I don't know what 160 divided by 5 is, so I'll do by division over here, it's 32. Now, if I don't have a calculator, which I don't, these numbers have to match. I got to get the same basis. Now, I can use 4 if 32 is 4 to a power. So 4 to the second is 16, but 4 to the third is 64. So I can't make that a 4. So if I can't make them 4s, I'm going to have to go down lower, and I make them 2s. I got to make them 2s. So 2 squared is 4, and 2 to the 5th is 32. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 makes 32. As soon as I have made them both 2s, then I can set the exponents equal. So x equals 5/2. Remember, anytime you have a double exponent, it's a multiply. Okay, what do you think about C? Divide, yep. Guys, you see that number out in front there? No, can't have it. Can't have it. Gotta get rid of it. So we'll divide by -2. what? We're going to loop-de-loo, so we'll put in the base 10. How do we know the base is 10? Because LOG means base 10. If there's no number already there, you put a 10 in. So 10 to the negative second equals x. What does 10 to the negative second mean? 1 over 10 squared, which is 1 over 100. All right, this looks scary. But it's no calculator, so it has to be pretty easy. What do I need to do first? I need to get rid of this number. So some of you are thinking you're going to divide by 1/8, which is okay, but dividing by 1/8 is the same as multiplying by 8. That's how you get rid of that.
I had to meet our new teacher. Did you have this?
Right?
Oh, that's right. You guys
So 2 to the 3x over 4 equals 64.
You did. I did that when I left too. Here's my Mr. Logan advice.
Now, what about 64? Is that a power of 2? Which power of 2 is it? 2 to the 4th? Well, let's try it out. We can always check. What's 2 to the 4th? That would just be 16, right? So another one would give me 32, and another one would give me 64. So 6. So 2 to the 3x over 4 equals 2 to the 6. See how I did that, guys? Now, I'm old, I do this for a living, so I know that 2 to the 6 is 64. But if you don't know that, it's easy to figure out. And you know these have to, where am I? Right here? You know these have to match. So then you can say 3x over 4 equals 6. So we'll multiply by 4. So 3x equals 24, and then we'll divide. So the answer to the question is 8. Multiply by 4, divide by 3. All right, big equation. What's your thought on this one? Anybody have a thought?
Combine it for one more.
You gotta combine. You cannot, groupies, you cannot do the equation if you have 2 logarithms on the same side. So they gotta go together. And when they go together, you're gonna have log 4 something equals 3. Because you're putting these 2 together. Now, in here is going to go the 2x and the x plus 1. Sometimes you multiply them, sometimes you divide them. That's it. Those are your only options. What is it in this problem?
2x
Divide. So it's 2x over x plus 1. Because a subtraction here tells you it's a division when you put them together. Now what? Now we loop-de-loop. So 4 to the 3rd equals 2x over x plus 1. 4 times 4 times 4, you're going to multiply that out if you don't already know. 64 equals 2x over x plus 1. Now we'll multiply this over to here. So 64x plus 64 equals 2x. So 62x equals negative 64. Subtracting 2x, moving the 64. So negative 64 over 62, which is negative 32 over 31. Can I put a negative in here? No, that's an extraneous root. Remember, you can't take the log of a negative. Remember, we tried on our calculators and it didn't work. So if I get a negative, put it in up here, that's going to be negative, and that can't be. Okay, that took up a lot of space. All right, next, what are you going to do with F? Try not to be bored, guys. We got to get this down. This test grade is going to have a huge impact on your grade. So if you don't want to have a bad grade in Power School, you really need to do well on this. What do? Got to combine them. You have to combine those. You cannot have two logarithms over here. So we're going to have the log base 3 of something equals the log base 3 of 5. Now, when you put them together, you have to put them together as either a division or a multiplication. Since that's a minus, it will be x plus 1 divided by 5, divided by x. Now, this is different. I erased it already, but this is different than the one we just did. The one we just did had a number over here. So it was log equals number, so we loop-de-looed. This one is log equals log, so we just say x plus 1 over x equals 5. So x plus 1 equals 5x. So 1 equals 4x, and x equals 1/4. Okay, so we just did 2 problems where you had to combine your logarithms. Remember, that's always going to be your first step if you have 2 of them. You're going to combine them. All right, we're back to an exponent. I think we've done this problem before, actually. What should we do here? Get the same base on both sides. And what base will you use? 2. Because 4 is 2 squared, and 8 is 2 cubed. Then you can just say 2x equals 3, and x equals 3/2. What about h? So recognize, kids, that ln is log base e. So if you think about there being an e down there, you can loop-de-loop. So e to the second equals x, and that's the answer you're done. Well, after some of the others we've done, this one is so easy, right? What do you do when you have log equals a number? So 7 to the second equals x. So the answer is 49. All right, 2 more, and then we'll get our calculators out. Write as a single logarithm. So this is kind of like you were doing in your equations. You've got 2 logarithms here, and you need to combine them into a single logarithm. Now there is a little complication in this. What do I do with that? Make it an exponent. So this is the log of x minus the log of y cubed. So the number out in front of the logarithm becomes an exponent. So the 3 becomes an exponent on the y cubed. Now, we're going to put these two things together, which means we have to combine the x and the y cubed. We're going to combine them as a division or as a multiplication. Since that's a minus, it's going to be x over y cubed. That's all there is to it. Then 6 is exactly the opposite. In 6, it's already together, and you're going to pull it apart. Now remember, when they tell you to pull it apart, it means you need to have a logarithm with an x and a logarithm with a y. However many letters you have in the problem, that's the logarithms that you're going to have. All right, so tell me, what do I need to do to finish this problem? Put a 2 in front of the x, right? Just the x, and a plus in between them. Why is there a plus in between them? Because it's a multiplication right here, so it becomes a plus. All right, now we're going to the calculator part. So hopefully you all brought your calculators. Remember that the only calculators allowed are graphing calculators, so make sure you have access to one on Wednesday when you come in to take this test. Okay?
I think we're Thursday.
So here we go.
I think we're Thursday.
Oh, you're Thursday.
Yeah, we don't have.
Yeah, you're Thursday. I'm sorry. I forgot today's
Are you
Tuesday.
coming in tomorrow early or Thursday?
Yes.
Thursday or tomorrow?
Tomorrow's a professional
Yeah,
development.
so
I have
Thursday?
a- Yes, if it's a 1, 3, and 5 day, I'm always here. All right, so log base 6 of 13. These are the ones that if you have been paying attention and studying, you know that this is going to be the log of 13 divided by the log of 6. Now, you can loop-de-loo and go the long way, but it will always come out to be the log of the big number over the log of the little number. Always, always, always. So we type this in on our calculator. Log 13 divided by log 6. And we get 1,000, so 1.432. Now, I know that some of you are going to loop-de-loo, and that's perfectly okay, but look at what you get. You get 6 to the x equals 13. Can you make a common base here with 6 and 13? No. So you're going to log both sides. You're going to pull the exponent off, and you're going to divide. And lo and behold, what's going to come out when you do that? Log of 13 over the log of 6. So if that's what makes sense to you, you can do that, absolutely. But you can also go straight to this when you have a problem that looks like this. All right, B. What are we going to do first in problem B? You're going to divide by 4. So you have 3 to the x equals 15 fourths. Now, you will have a calculator for this, so if it's easier for you to write 3 to the x equals 3.75, it doesn't matter to me. That's perfectly okay. You can leave the fraction, or you can write the decimal, whatever's easiest for you. The point is, it's just like this one. You're not going to be able to get a common base. So you're going to take the logarithm of both sides. And And the reason that you take the logarithm is so that the exponent will come off into the front. Right? That's why we do it. Then, to get x by itself, you're just going to divide by the log of 3. You're going to type that in on your calculator. And you get 1.203. I'm rounding to the thousandth because that's what the directions say. All right, one more on this page, and then we'll turn it over. 4e to the 1.3x equals 17. Divide by 4. So you can either leave it 17 fourths, or if you prefer, you can write it as, what is that, 4.25? It's up to you. It doesn't make a bit of difference. Now, doesn't that look a lot like what we had over here? So I'm going to log both sides, but instead of log, I will ln because it has an e. And it's easier because that will cancel. And I have 1.3x equal to ln 4.25. And then I'll just divide by 1.3. Would you agree? So ln 4.25 divided by 1.3, I got as my answer 1.113. Now, if you haven't been typing these in with me, please spend some time practicing on your own, making sure you're getting these numbers. Okay. All right, so I will write on the board the formulas that we need. So I'll just write it down right up here. So we have this one. And we have this one. If you pick the wrong formula, you get no credit for the problem. So it is important that you know which formula to use when. So let's read problem number 8a. And tell me if I need the left formula or the right formula.
Right.
We need the right. And we need the right because it says compounded quarterly. Okay, that's your clue, compounded quarterly. So I'm going to be using this formula, and I'm going to start with an investment of $150, and I want it to double. So what do I want to end up with? 300. And my interest rate is 0.0175. Notice it's a decimal, not a percent. Compounded quarterly is 4. And I want to know how long it takes. Everybody okay with that? All right, what's the first step? Divide by the 150. Over half of our problems, it seems like, guys, the first thing we have to do is divide, right? You got to get rid of any extra numbers. So we're going to divide, get 2. equals all of this. Now, do you see that your variable is an exponent? When your variable is an exponent, you're going to need to use logarithms. So I'm going to take the logarithm of both sides. And I did that for one reason. This comes out in front, the whole thing. The whole exponent comes out in front. So now I have the log of 2 equal to 4t log 1 plus 0.0175 over 4. This comes out in the front.
Is this because t is the variable?
When the exponent is the variable, you have to use logarithms. Now, this is what I'm solving for, right guys? Isn't that what I'm solving for? So I have the log of 2 over here. Okay, so I have that in my calculator, the log of 2. Now what do I need to do to the log of 2? I need to divide both sides by 4. So I'm going to hit divided by 4. Okay, so I divided by 4, and now that's gone. But what else do I have to divide by if I want to have t all by itself? Don't I also have to divide by this? All this? So I already did divided by 4. Now I'm going to do divided by log 1 plus 0.0175 divided by 4. And the answer is 39.695 years. 39.695 years. So once I pulled that exponent off, there's 2 things that I need to divide by. I need to divide by the 4, and I need to divide by the log. So I took my log 2 and divided it by 4. That was easy first. And then I divided by this guy, and I got that answer. So you're going to want to make sure you can go back and type that in. All right, B. How much money will be in the account at the end of 25 years if 9876 is invested at 2.125% compounded monthly? Left, right. I need to write again. Compounded monthly. I'm investing 9876 at 0.02125 monthly. For 25 years. So remember that exponent is n times t. So n is 12 monthly, and t is 25. So let's multiply 12 times 25 and get that done. So we just have 300 there. Now am I going to need logarithms for this?
No.
No. This is a just type it in problem. So I'm going to type it in just like it is. Remember, I only need logarithms if my variable is up here. So 9876 parentheses 1 plus 0.02125 divided by 12, and then raised, using my little raised button, to the 300. And I got $16,791.75. I use the same formula for both problems that I just did. Does everybody understand why I needed logs here and I didn't need logs there? You don't see that? If the variable is in the exponent, you need logarithms. That's the only time. So if the variable is not here, then you're not going to use logarithms. You're just going to type it in. All right, one more. How long will it take for these geomites to grow into this many geomites if their growth constant is 0.234? Which formula? The right. You're going to use, or the left, I mean, the left one. You're using that one. That one. It's not money. You're always going to use that one if it's not money. The only time you'll use that on a money problem if it says continuously. This is not money. So I'm going to end up with 888 of these guys. I'm starting with 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. My growth constant is 0.234. It's already a decimal. And I want to know how long it's going to take. Where's my variable? Exponent up. That means I'm going to need a logarithm, right? But don't jump in with it yet. What do I have to do first? Always divide. So I'm going to have 8888 over 4, 5, 6, 7. That does not divide, so just leave it be. I know it's uncomfortable. We just got to leave it. Now, since there's an E in the problem, instead of logging, let's ln. So we'll have ln this fraction equal to just 0.234t. And then we're just going to divide by 0.234. And we can do that on our calculator pretty easily. So ln 8888 divided by 4, 5, 6, 7, close parentheses, divided by 0.234. And I got t equal to 2.845. Yeah. Okay. That's what you need to know how to do. So let's back up. We'll do these last couple of word problems.
No bathroom.
And then if we still have time, we can do something different.
No bathroom.
You have to sign out.
Yeah, let's get TikTok left.
All right, so now let's take a quick look at practice test 2 where we haven't finished. Okay, it's just divided by. It's 8888 divided by 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it. There's nothing fancy. A fraction is a division. Okay, so I don't know, where did we stop? Have we done 8 yet?
No.
Okay, so number 8A. What interest rate is required to double an investment in 11 years if the interest is compounded monthly? Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to skip that one because that one is a little bit different, and I don't want to do it on a practice test, so I don't know why I did that. Okay, let's look at B. Let's look at B. Same kind of problem, but this is more like what we've done before. How much will be in the account at the end of 12 years if 10,000 is invested at 0.02175, compounded quarterly. Oh, how many years? 12 years. And I don't know how much will be in the account. So first of all, I just jumped in and used this formula. This is problem number 2, or B, 8B on practice test 2. Does it make sense to everybody that I would use this formula? Compounded monthly. No, compounded quarterly. I'm doing B. Compounded quarterly. So is the setup okay with everyone?
Yeah.
All right, that's 48. Let's just multiply 4 times 12, get that done. Now, sometimes I just type it in, and sometimes I use logarithms. Which is it going to be in this case? Type it in. I don't need logarithms because my variable is not up here. So 1,000, or 10,000, excuse me, 10,000, make sure you have enough zeros. 1 plus 0.02175 divided by 4, close the parentheses, raised to the 48. I got $12,973.10. Does that sound right to everybody? And then C, what is the growth constant for logarithmites if a population of 432 grows into 978 in 15 hours? All right, which formula shall I use this time? PERT. So I'm going to end up with 987. I'm going to start with 432, 15 hours, and I want to know R, so T is 15 and R is my unknown. What does that tell me immediately? R is my unknown. I'm going to need logarithms, right? But first I have to do something else. Divide by 432. So 987 over 432 equals e to the 15r. Dividing both sides by 432. So now what? ln both sides. So ln 987 over 432 equals 15r. So what I'll type into my calculator is ln 987 divided by 432 divided by 15. So I literally type, Nathan, ln 987 divided by 432 close parentheses divided by 15, and we should get 0.055. That's what you should get. So try it again. Type it in exactly as I wrote it. You can't miss. ln 987 divided by 432 close parentheses divided by 15. And that is your R value. Okay, so let's look back at practice test 3. And of all the problems we did, 2 pages front and back, this is the test. Who has a question about a particular kind of problem, and I'll make another one up here. Anything on practice test 3? Twan, your hand up?
Can we do another one with number 2 on the practice?
Yeah, I gotta rig that though, so let me rig it. So, write the exponential that contains 0, 3, and 2 3/4. Okay, so we're writing the equation of an exponential. This is an extra problem. It is not on any sheet you have, I don't think. It's write the equation of the exponential. So we'll start by writing down what we know it has to look like. And then we will plug in the number that goes with the 0 is always your A, always your initial value. So y equals 3b to the x. And if I get that far, I'm already at half credit. But now I have to figure out what my b is. Yep. So I'm going to plug in my point. So 3/4 goes in for y, and 2 goes in for x. Now what do I have to do first? We've done this over and over again. Got to divide by 3. Now, because this is a fraction, instead of dividing by 3, I'm allowed to multiply by 1/3. It's the same thing. Dividing by 3 is multiplying by 1/3. And it's easier for me when I have fractions. So this is 1/4 equals b squared because those cancel. So what do I get for b then? What does b equal? The square root of 1/4, which is, no. What's the square root of 1? 1. What's the square root of 4? 2. It's 1/2. I'm not squaring it, I'm square rooting it. So that I get plain b. So my answer is y equals 3 times 1/2 to the x, because b was 1/2. This is called the initial value. Would this be a growth or decay situation? Decay, because this is less than 1. What would be the percent of decay? 50%, right? It's how much less than 1 this is, and it's 50.5 less than 1. All right, one more, quickly, one more we can do.
Can you explain again how we, how we know which, the equations use?
Yep. If it's not money, this is, this will be used in every not money problem. If it's a money problem, the only time this will be used is if the interest is compounded continuously.
Okay.
So if it's a money problem, you're going to use this unless that word is in the problem. Okay? All right, let's clear the desks off, and I will come around and spray them.
You told me that's easy.
And Laney never showed up.
Bro, 50 straight minutes.
Don't forget, someone's iPad is up here. JP, will you hand these out, please? Hey, let's clear everything off our desk, guys, so I'm not spraying.
I got ceramic.
What period do I have next? It's A. So it's go.
Wonky slime.
Wonky slime.
That thing bleeds, big.
That thing bleeds through the tape, pig. Wonky slime.
Bro, Court. Clip. I'm gonna ask you something. You didn't think that was
You get another hand, Miss Tessie?
That could be through the TV. Bleed, bleed. That thing bleeds, bleed.
Rocky slump.
Yes.
I've been hearing that one.
Yeah, it was
I'm still getting used to it,
Yeah. And so,
At 10:04, you can wipe your
when
desk off.
they thought
And you're like, you don't know anymore.
Please pay attention and wipe them off at 10:04. Oh, did she give you permission?
Yes, sir.
All protocol,
Let me
they,
point you.
At least we got somewhere.
Nathan, were you deciding yet? That picture personality test. The picture personality test.
100%.
But you've had it, you're not. I'd stick with it.
oh shoot.